Okay, looks like we're recording. So today we are here to talk to you about our new mapping feature that we've implemented in the victim case management system. It will be a fairly quick session hosted by myself. So I'm Prue. Everybody probably knows me, but if you don't, I'm the director of the victim case management system. And I also have my colleague Kira here, who's going to help us walk through the demonstration today. So why have we upgraded the case map and why is this important? We understand that identifying and recording information of a geolocational nature regarding cases of human trafficking can be a difficult process. And we also recognize that our initial implementation and integration of the Google map required several steps to be able to save a location and asked you to go into a lot of detail. So we've attempted to simplify this process when you guys go through to add geolocations to the case map, to make it really easy for you guys to quickly drop a pin onto the map and record locations. So there's two levels at which you can really record this information. You can record it at a very high level. So looking, for example, if all you know is that your client comes from Battambang in Cambodia, you can drop a pin in the province of Battambang. Or you can really drill down into very specific granular information. So looking at a specific address or a specific factory location, for example, where abusive employment may be taking place. To simplify this process, the VCMS team has identified some key categories, which we'll go through today, around recording information, looking at the key steps in a victim of human trafficking's journey. So we can record recruitment locations where they were recruited, transit locations where they might have travelled, things like border crossings or airports, places of employment, places of accommodation where they might have stayed during their time, and places where abuse may have occurred. So today, Kira's going to walk you through the process. We'll share our screen and you'll be able to see how you can access the case map, add locations to it and edit those locations. It's a very simple process. It'll be quite quick, and then we can open up at the end for questions if anybody has any, or you can drop questions in the chat as we go. But this is really just an introductory session today, and then we'll continue to provide you guys support on this as we move forward. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Kira, who can hopefully share her screen and take you through the process.
Okay, hello everyone. I hope you all can hear me okay. As Prue just introduced, I'm Kira. And let me go ahead and see if I'm successfully sharing my screen.
Looks good, Kira.
Prue, can you? Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to demonstrate how to use our new case map today by going through two of our test clients. So the data that you're about to see is all fake. It's not real. We'll begin here with Sochita, Sochita test. So I am currently on her People tab, the contact record for her, and I'll just begin reviewing how to use the client's origin map here before we skip to the new case map. So you may remember we have a Google Maps integration for the maps. So I'm going to begin here just by searching for the address. And again, this is Sochita's origin, so I'm searching for either her hometown, her home country, whatever level of detail is available. I'm going to put Sochita as though she's here from Phnom Penh. And then I'm going to drag the marker to where I think I know her house is. So you can just click anywhere on the map and that pin will move to that location. Once you have that approximate location known, we go up here to the Save New Location button. And I'm just going to click that. And then once you see this red text saying that the new location has been saved successfully, that's going to prompt you to hit the refresh button. It's very important that you hit the refresh button after every time you've dropped a pin. That sort of starts you from scratch. So now this location is successfully saved as Sochita's place of origin. So now our next step would be to migrate to the case here, and I see this by following to her case number. And now on the Details tab, I'm able to scroll down and see her case map. So Sochita's story is that she is Cambodian of Khmer origin. She's been trafficked to Malaysia as a domestic worker. So here I've filled in all of her exploitation details, and I want to mark some important geolocational data points that have come up either in the course of her interviews or her case files, anything like that. So as you'll see here, we have these 5 new larger categories of geolocational information that we're conducting now. Again, as Prue mentioned, this was to sort of streamline not only what data points you can access from the map, but do so in a very easy fashion. So you can see here, I can either choose to drop a recruitment location, a transit location, a place of employment, a place of accommodation where they were housed, where they were living, or an abuse location. And this little person icon that is showing up already on our map here, this is the locational pin that I just mapped on, that I just dropped on Sochita's origin map. So if I click this icon here, this is going to take me back to Sochita's person record. If I want to migrate back to the case, I just click the case again. So now for Sochita's story, let's say, in the course of my working with Sochita, I know, again, that she was trafficked to Malaysia for domestic work, but I don't know very much information yet. I maybe don't know the recruitment location, but I do know that she left Cambodia via the Phnom Penh airport and that she arrived in Malaysia in the Kuala Lumpur airport. So I could mark both of those locations as transit locations. So in order to do that, let's see, we just start by zooming in here. If I click the plus sign, I can search maybe for the Phnom Penh International Airport, and that pin is going to automatically come on our airport location now. So if I want to tag this as my first transit location, I just click this, add transit location. It's going to prompt me to make sure I want to save it. And now that I've got that red text, I want to be sure, again, to hit the refresh button. Now that will make sure that that first location is now saved. So if I just scroll in here, I can see this little icon with a little plane. And if I hover over it, you can see the map will prompt me saying that it's a transit location. This has also saved an activity. And if I go down here to activity history, I can see that I just dropped a case-related transit location. I'll show you in a little bit later. I could also go back in and edit this location or delete it if I made any mistakes. So let's see, I'll also add in here the Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Again, that pin is going to come up right there. And I'm going to go for a second time, add transit location, and save. And then my final step is to refresh. Okay, so now if I'm able to zoom out here on this map, I should see that people icon that is Sochita's place of origin, as well as now 2 transit locations. So if I did want to go and I wanted to edit one of those locations, I could bring up the activity record here by just clicking on that text. And if I wanted to change this, let's say I wanted to change it from that pin. I wanted to bring it over right here. Maybe she left from the port. So again, I'm going to click on the map right there at the pin where I want that new place to be saved. I'm going to go save new location and again refresh. That's now going to save that new location for me. And when I go back here to the case, I'm able to see that updated case pin there. So now let's see. In the case of Suchicha's story, perhaps I also know her place of employment. Now, in this case of Suchita, since she's a domestic worker, the place of employment and the place of accommodation are going to be the same. It's up to your organization's internal processes, whatever sort of method you would like to record. You could save it only as an employment location. You could drop a pin on both employment and accommodation, whatever category is most important for you to record. So let's say I know here, I'm just gonna zoom in and I'm gonna place the pin by hand instead of using the search bar here. Let's say I know that her place of employment, let's see, was up here in Putrajaya. I'm just going to switch to the satellite mode so that I can more easily actually see a satellite rendering of individual buildings in the city itself. So let's say, Suchita knows, she's not able to describe the exact address, but she knows that she was somewhere by the botanical garden here. So I'm just going to drop a pin as close to where I think, her approximate place of location would be, and I'm going to go add employment location. So employment location, now this is going to prompt you to just choose a very broad category of what type of exploitation this pin is related to. So I can choose between forced labor, sexual exploitation, a rights violation, or an incident of begging or some other crime. For this case, this would be forced labor. And I'm going to save. And once again, once I get that red text, I'm just going to go ahead and hit refresh. And now we should be able to see 4 items on our map. Her place of origin, the first transit location, a second transit location, and here an employment location. And again, you can drill down into those individual records just by clicking on the icons. Okay, for our second demonstration, let's see here, we're going to switch to a different story. So this is Vincent. He's a male now. He is from, let's see, he's from the Philippines, but he was trafficked to the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, for construction work. So again, if I want to see his origin map, I'm just going to go to his person's record, and I can see here that he's from Manila. If during the time of my working with him, any more specific information came out about where he was from in Manila, I could also just go and drop that pin, and hit Save New Location and refresh. And that new location would now be saved. So when I migrate now to his case, and we scroll down to the case map, I should be able to see, again, just like Suchita, the place of origin with the people icon. So I know here that Vincent is from Manila in the Philippines. And so, with regard to his story, he was trafficked here from the Philippines to the UAE. Let's say I know that he was employed in Dubai. We'll just go ahead and drill down here to Dubai. You can either save just on this very high sort of city level if no other details are known. But let's say perhaps I know that the construction site that he was working in was on one of these islands out here that are just being built up. So I can go ahead and drop down that pin. I could switch also to satellite mode again if I need to. And we're going to go to add employment location. Again, it's going to prompt me to select what type of exploitation this was. And then I'm going to refresh. And let's say I've been working with Vincent now for a few months, and I also have just learned the place where he was recruited, sort of when the broker first approached him. And I know that he was approached here, but I don't know any other details. I don't know a specific location other than just the city name. That's fine. We're just going to go that. Again, you just do that by typing in here to the search bar, and I'm going to go add recruitment location. And save. And then the last step is to refresh. So now on this map, I should have 3 points that I'm able to see. I'm able to see Vincent's place of origin, a recruitment location, get in here, a recruitment location, and this place of employment over here. You could add as many of these pins as necessary. Let's say he was not only working on one construction site, he was actually working on 3 different construction sites. I can go back in here and I can add multiple records of an employment location. So let's say that I also knew that there was another construction site sort of up the coastline there. I'm going to go again, add employment location, and save and refresh. Okay. And if I go down here to the activity history, I'll be able to see a record of all of those pins that I have just dropped. So I have a case-related employment location, a recruitment location, and a second employment location. During the course of your working with clients, you can go back in at any time and add additional location markers. Just like you go back in and delete or edit any of these markers at any time, if 2 months from now additional information comes to light and you have another important piece of locational information that you want to be able to record visually here on the map, you can go back in and add that. I guess in summary, Prue, before I pass it back to you, the most important thing is just to remember to hit the refresh button after each pin that you draw.
Awesome. Thank you, Kira. That was great. Okay, so as you guys hopefully can see, this is a vastly simplified process from the old mapping integration. So you do it all on the case page now. There's no need to go to the hotspot button and to open up new records. You just do the simple search and pin drop. I think Kira covered all the major important points today, but just to reiterate and recap, you can drop places of origin on the people tab, so the client records or other people records of where they're coming from. And then it's on the case map that you can drop locations that are related to the experience of the victim, whether that's where they've traveled to, how they've traveled there, where they worked, where they experienced forms of abuse. So it's important to note that all of the locations that we're trying to record on the case map are going to be exploitative in nature. So we're not recording places of employment that are positive, just where they worked and didn't have any problems, or, we're not recording their house for accommodation. We're recording and trying to gather information specifically on forms of abuse, of trafficking, of slavery and exploitation through this process. The reason for that is that by gathering this very granular type of geolocational information, we can start to map out and track trends in this exploitation, both within an individual NGO's client base and across the community as a whole. So the reason Kira, myself, and Clara have put a lot of time and development into this tool is because that information is so critical to both understanding the issue on the ground and to actually have the information to be able to leverage against perpetrators, to understand their processes, and then be able to feed that information across to people who can look to interrupt those processes. As Kira mentioned, you can drop as many pins as you like on one record. They can be the same kind, so multiple of the same kind or of different kinds. And the most important part of that is that you press refresh after every pin drop, or else it's going to save the pin as the same type each time, and you won't be able to see what different types of pins you have on the map. So just to recap the process, you can open up the case map, type in the address, That can be broad or very specific. The more specific, the better, obviously, and we encourage you to go back and update it as you learn more specific information. Once you're happy with where the pin is sitting on the map, then you can press save location, and then you can press refresh, and that's it. That's the whole process. So we really encourage you guys to start thinking about how you can utilize this case map in your work and your data capture processes, and start to reimagine a little bit the role of geolocational data in your work. So often the way we record this information is in address format. So we'd really encourage you to go back and start to think about how you can see this information in a much more visual format. As you can go through and delete locations, please feel free to have a play with it, to test it out. And also, please note that we've only just rolled this out into the community this past week. And there may still be some developmental glitches, particularly if you're using different operating browsers. So if you have problems getting locations to save or pins to show on the map, please let us know so that we can address them. We, in the spirit of our focus on geolocational information and how important we think this is, we're going to be running some more webinars in the new year around not just how you can capture it in the victim case management system, but how you can look out for important geographic information in victim debriefs and interviews. So keep an eye out for them. We'll send them through. And yeah, I think just make sure you do send any issues through to us or any feedback on the map itself. So I think that pretty much concludes the session. If anyone has any questions, they can drop them in the chat down the bottom of the GoToMeeting now, and we'll address them in the next couple of minutes. Any locations that were already in the system in the old mapping format will be migrated across, so you won't lose any of that existing data. And I think that basically concludes everything that we need to tell you today. So I'll just give it a couple more seconds to see if anyone wants to drop a question, otherwise we'll wrap up. Okay, cool. So we'll leave it at that for today. Thank you again for joining us. We're going to try and run more and more of these remote training webinars, so hopefully you find them useful. You can also send us feedback on the webinar itself if you want to. And we will be in touch shortly. We'll share this recording with you guys so that if you want to go back and practice and look through the recording as you practice for further support, you can. But as always, reach out to myself, reach out to Kira and our colleague Clara via your chatter groups if you need any support. Thank you very much, Kira, for walking us through the demonstration. And yeah, I think that will...
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you. Okay, bye.